just society in order to move forward. And I said, your dad was so far ahead of his time, and that we have somehow sanitized his memory, where we celebrate his birthday every single year, but we don't talk about what he was fighting for anymore. And his son said, you're right. And then we decided to do all we can. And he's like, look, I can't endorse you because, I'm Martin Luther King III, and if I endorse someone, I become political in a particular way, because he heads a nonprofit. I don't know if you all know there are rules around nonprofits and politics.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what I mean? He said, but your vision is exactly what Dad would have wanted to put forward.
Wow.
Oh my God.
And that meant so much to me to hear. So that was Atlanta the day after the debate. And then we went to South Carolina, where the crowds were bigger and better than we'd ever seen in state. How many of you saw the pictures from last night?
Yeah!
Yeah, the energy was super high, and the folks in South Carolina are pumped up and ready to go. And then we flew in here last night, and here you all are.
Yeah!
I gotta say, when you run for president, this is the best feedback you get. You go around, and you see the message growing, the people responding. I've been here to Iowa, this is my 23rd time, and it just gets better every single time. Now, it seems like you all are pretty hardcore Yang gang, is that right? No, I want us all to give a chance. How many of you all are just Yang curious? Like, where are we at here? Over there, look, raise his hand. Yang curious, let's give him a round of applause. Anyone else Yang curious?
The media's Yang curious.
Guy right here.
This gang of media is Yang gang. Don't let them tell you otherwise. All right, so we got a few people who are Yang curious, and I don't want to give you the full stump, but please do, if you have a chance, ask people some questions as to how they came to learn about the campaign and what their process was. The fundamentals of this campaign are that we have to rewrite the rules of the 21st century economy to work for us, to work for the people of this country. That our government has been overrun by corporate money, been taken captive, and most of America looks up and sees the plumbing of government just plugged up with money, with cash. And then you look up and say, my vote can't do anything about it, except here in Iowa, your vote can do everything about it.
Yeah!
Here in Iowa, each of you is worth about 1,000 Californians. So you look around this room. What's the fire code of this room? I really don't know. Yeah, right. So let's say, he said 12. So let's say the fire code in this room is 100. There are 99 of you here. That's like 99,000 Californians. That's like 2.5 football stadiums full of Californians. That is the magic of this place, where the message of a new economy that works for us, when it launches here next year on February 3rd, it's going to wake up the rest of the country just like that. That is your power. That is your power, and it does not even take that many of you. That's the wonder of it. That's why the 1,000 Californians thing is totally accurate, where you get your friends, family, neighbors. You don't even need that many Iowans to change the direction of this country. And I'm going to go a little further and say, when the direction of this country changes, we can actually influence world history. Because if you can imagine the headlines, not just the United States of America, but around the world, when it says, Andrew Yang won Iowa on February 4th. And I'd like to see them try to omit me from a graphic then. Because that's going to be some really funny looking graphic. It's going to go 2, 3, 4. That's going to be quite a challenge. Well, that's not just going to make headlines here in the U.S. It's going to ripple around the world, and people are going to look up and say, wait a minute. It's true. Technology is transforming our way of life fundamentally. It's like, what's funny is you see the light bulbs going off. Like, the first time they found out about this campaign, they're like, oh, yeah, the robot guy. And then they're like, wait a minute. I see the same things he sees. Like, I see UPS investing in robot trucks. I see the self-serve kiosks in every McDonald's and CVS and grocery store. I hear the software on the other line when I pick up the phone. I see the Main Street stores closing all around me. And I don't think about that as robots, but wait a minute, the Amazon fulfillment center is filled with robots. And in the hotel last night, I saw this, I'll say it, I saw this bullshit Amazon commercial where they had these like happy employees being like, yeah, it's great. I was like, are you kidding me? We know how that goes. They literally wear bracelets at the Amazon fulfillment center where it like starts chirping at them if they're not packing fast enough. You know, that wasn't in the commercial. It wasn't the first thing being like, oh no, my freaking Running Man bracelet is chirping at me. So we all see it around us all the time. We're in the midst of the greatest economic transformation in our country's history. Our politicians either want nothing to do with it or don't understand it. Our government is out of touch and does not care. It is going to be up to us to say, one, we get it. We understand the true nature of the problems. It's not immigrants. It's technology that's causing disruption around the country. And then we have real solutions. Like a dividend of $1,000 a month that's going to make every single American stronger, healthier, mentally healthier, improve relationships, decrease stress levels, improve graduation rates, reduce domestic violence, reduce hospital visits. We can rewrite the rules so that it works for us, for you all, and we don't have a choice. Because if we don't make this move, what happens over the next 4 years?
We lose.
The AI gets smarter, the self-driving cars and trucks start hitting the highways, more stores close, the self-serve kiosks at McDonald's go from the front of the house to the back of the house, because they're actually working on robot burger flippers and fry cookers in the back.
They're already here!
They're already here. This is where humanity turns the tide. Am I right, Iowa? This is the place. This is the magic. This is why I love it so much. So we have a little bit of a competition. We're kind of a numbers-oriented campaign. As you know, how many of you are excited to go canvas this morning? Yeah! We're going to have a little competition where whoever knocks on the most doors, we got to do a good job. You can't just knock and run. Whoever knocks on the most doors is going to join me on stage at the rally a little bit later today. Now, I'm meant to go canvas. I think I was supposed to go across the room, but that's going to be very difficult for me to sign up in canvas. But they have a few doors for me to knock on. I can't wait to surprise some Iowans. Oh, yeah. But know that everyone you talk to is a difference maker. And I know that sometimes, and I'm going to share, like I was a very nerdy, introverted Asian kid. I just like read my books and played my role-playing games. And I had an older brother who was almost as nerdy. like relatively speaking, he was the cool one. I guess because you know he's older, and I was like, oh. Anyway.
And now you're running for president.
And now I'm running for president. But just know, I understand the occasional awkwardness you feel when you're like trying to talk to someone, and sometimes you know they don't have much of an interest level. But then every once in a while, you see like the spark go off, the light go off, and the interest get awakened. And when you have that experience, I hope you feel the same rush of satisfaction and victory that I feel. When I was this nerdy kid growing up, my parents told me to do well in school and get good grades, and I tried to do that. And it was only when I got older that I realized that I was never going to achieve my goals if I didn't break out. And then I started reaching out to people in different ways. A lot of it was frankly to try and get a date, I'll be honest. Like talking about it's like I had big goals in the world. I was just trying to get a date. Sure. Then eventually I found Evelyn. Thank goodness for that. I just got off the phone with Evelyn. She's with the boys back in New York. She was with me in Atlanta for the debates, and then she flew back to see them. They're all very happy. Christopher, we have him in karate. He's 7. He's pretty terrible, honestly. But anyway, she's bringing him to karate. That's where she is. So I understand the resistance you feel both internally and externally sometimes reaching out to people, but you have to know that every conversation, every contact, every door you knock on makes a huge difference. And that the same growth that I've experienced over the last number of years, where you feel like when you reach out, it's hard, but then it gets a little easier every time you have a victory, either big or small. I hope you feel the same thing when you do get that click. How many of you had the experience where you send a video or podcast or interview of me to friends? Like, haven't you had that? Oh, thank you. Every day, thank you. And I know how it goes. You send it to them like, yo, check this out. And then you hear nothing for like a few days. But then, like a week later or 2 weeks later, they're like, hey, like I saw your guy, or I finally looked at it, or whatnot. How many of you had that experience? Yeah, so when you meet people face to face, it's going to be similar. Like you're going to say something to them and it may or may not seem like they're listening, but I guarantee you they heard you. Because people recognize passion when they see it. People respond to other human beings. And our campaign has something that other campaigns cannot buy. There are some of the other campaigns out there, all they have is money. You know what I mean? You can see it. They're like, hey, I'm really rich.
We got genuineness.
You know? We have the opposite, yang.
Yeah.
No money.
All we have, yes. No, it's all right. I'll take it.
Too high.
We raised $10 million last year. In increments of only $30 each. So I say my cans are almost as cheap as Bernie's.
30 mil!
There's a very cheap, wholesome gang that joined. I was with Bernie on the debate stage the other day, and Bernie's like a hero and role model of mine. And so I've been around Bernie now like a dozen times or whatnot. And at first I was like, I don't know if he likes me, because you can't really tell. He's like sort of gruff. But then he said to a journalist like last month, he's like, I like Andrew. And then I was like so touched. I was like, Bernie likes me? And then when I saw Bernie this week, I was like, hey Bernie, like, thank you for the kind words. And then he did something he'd never done before. He actually put his arm around me. Around. And then he was like, of course I like you, Andrew. You bring a lot of good stuff to the table. It's like so touching. So our fans are almost as cheap as Bernie's. But we've got a lot of them. There's zero corporate money in this campaign. And I joke, the companies would never send the random Asian guy. They'd be like, this is gonna work great. We're gonna send this guy. This campaign is purely of us. It's a purely grassroots funded campaign. And the media, I'm happy to say, is waking up. It's waking up to the power of the people. The American people are a sleeping giant, and we are gonna wake them up, Iowa!